I love a good spooky story. Do you? If you said no, this isn't for you. But if you said yes, then I have got three spooky stories in store for you. Just a quick disclaimer. All stories read in this video are believed to be a genuine personal experience based on the information available at the time of recording. I do not knowingly feature fabricated stories or intentionally present someone else's fictional work as a true personal account. First spooky story. Get your tea or a nice drink or something, curl up in some nice warm blankets, turn the lights down low, or if you're a scaredy cat like me, leave the lights up, and we'll get into it. So, the first story comes from Caitlin. She is a follower on my TikTok, and she was the first person to message me with a story of her own personal experience. So, everyone give her an amazing thank you because I needed her. I used to visit abandoned places, the type of old buildings with history, places that had somehow remained mostly untouched by vandals. There was an old care home built in the 1800s. It was a 4-story mansion like many of the grand homes built around that time, and it had been run by the church. The locals all told the same stories. Neglect and misery behind its walls. I'd been inside a few times before, despite its dark history. It was a gorgeous building, the interiors mostly intact, frozen in time, as if everyone had simply walked away one day and never returned. I used to travel in abandoned buildings myself. There was this one, theatre that I went in, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and actually it's in my town, and they are trying to rebuild it. I fell through the floor. It was not fun. Carrying on. Sorry for the sidetrack. One night, I decided to explore the church attached to the mansion. It was dark, with tall stained glass windows barely visible in the moonlight. Everything a church should have was still there, abandoned and gathering dust. Walking down the aisle gave me an uneasy feeling I couldn't shake, like someone was standing, just out of sight, watching me. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and every now and then I'd hear what sounded like faint coughing coming from somewhere in the darkness. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh. It was the kind of place that sticks with you long after you've left. At almost 1 a.m, in pitch black darkness with only a small torch to guide me, I made my way deeper into the building and eventually came across the ballroom. Oh, I bet that was gorgeous though. It was a huge room with beautiful paintings still hanging on the walls and large glass doors leading outside. A ballroom in a church though. As I walked across the room towards the doors, I suddenly stopped. Someone was standing there. It couldn't have been my friend. He was behind me, distracted by an old fireplace in the corner of the room. Did you not just... Oh my god. Did you not just... Oh. I just had a roll up my neck. But there was definitely a figure standing by the glass doors, staring back at me without making a sound. Oh my god, I don't know about you, but I'm like, my neck, it's so crawly right now. It's just like going like... It's like, god, it's so spooky. Petrified, I stood frozen and looked at him. I bet you did. I don't even know what I would do in that situation. If I saw someone just like standing there, I would probably wee myself, honestly. I'm not. The man that looked to be in his late 70s. He wore a beret and an eyeglass. A thick white moustache sat above his lip, and he was dressed in what looked like a brown battle dress blouse with field dress trousers, a World War II uniform. The strangest thing wasn't what he was wearing though. He didn't look real. He looked as though he'd stepped straight out of an old black and white photograph. For several seconds, neither of us moved. I looked back towards my friend, who was completely oblivious to what I was seeing. I wanted to call him over to make sure I wasn't imagining it, but then I turned back. The figure was gone. At that exact moment, a door slammed somewhere in the distance. Ooh. Oh. No. Just no. I would be out there. That is a nope. That is a Scooby-Doo and Shaggy running out of the room situation right there. No. Not for me. Not for me. Okay. The sound echoed through the mansion. It wasn't just loud. It sounded angry. We immediately decided it was time to leave. Yeah. Good decision, I reckon. Good decision. Neither of us stopped to investigate. We got out as fast as we could. Maybe it was an old building setting in the middle of the night. Or maybe we'd simply overstayed our welcome. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's not for me, dog. Not for me. And that story was from Caitlin. So a massive thank you to Caitlin for telling us that story. Next story is from a friend of mine called Bert. It happened when I was in year 7. Our school had taken us on a residential trip to Borwick Hall. Borwick Hall. Oh. What the fuck is that? And I shall get a picture up on my screen. I don't think I've heard of Borwick Hall. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Borwick. Oh, let me check out our education. Oh, that is stunning. I'll show a picture, so here it is on the screen now. An old stone building that seemed to have a story hidden behind every door. It do be looking like that, I'm not gonna lie. Like most 12-year-olds, I was more interested in the activities than the history. Until I would. If it was me as a 12-year-old, I'm not gonna lie, I would love the history because I'm a massive history buff. Carrying on, moving on, sorry. Until our guide stopped outside my room. Room 1. He smiled and casually told us that years ago it had been known as the priest's room. Then his expression changed. According to local legend, a priest had once slept there, a man of influence, a man with servants, and one night, while he lay asleep in his bed, one of those servants entered the room and cut off his air supply. Because I don't know how else to say that. And unfortunately, he passed on to the next life. The guide laughed it off and moved on. The rest of the group did too. I didn't. That night, as everyone settled down, the story kept replaying in my mind. Every creak in the floorboard sounded like footsteps. Every groan of the old building felt deliberate. The room itself seemed different after dawn. The shadows stretched further. The corners felt deeper, and sleep refused to come. Hours passed. The noises never stopped. Eventually, exhaustion won, and I drifted off. Then I woke. Something was wrong. At first, I couldn't understand what it was. Then panic hit me. I couldn't move, not my arms, not my legs, not even my head. I tried to shout for help, but no sound came out. It felt as though an enormous weight was pressing down on my chest, pinning me to the bed. I couldn't breathe properly. My heart hammered against my ribs, and then I saw it, standing over me. Oh no, 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 no! A dark figure. Oh my god, the crawls. Not a face, not a person, just a shape made of shadow. Oh. I am overwhelmed. I am so overwhelmed by this. Okay. Where am I? I've lost my spot. Okay. Where am I? Two enormous eyes standing up. Just a shape shadows. But I could see its eyes. Two enormous eyes staring directly into mine. Angry. Watching. Waiting. I fought to move. I struggled against whatever held me. The harder I tried, the worse it became. The room seemed to close in around me. The figure didn't move. It didn't blink. It simply stared. Then in my panic, I managed to knock something from beside my bed. The crash echoed through the room, and almost instantly, the door burst open. My teacher rushed in. The moment he crossed the doorway, everything stopped. The pressure vanished. The figure disappeared. I could move again. I could breathe again. The room was just a room. The shadows were just shadows. My teacher asked what had happened. I couldn't answer. I just sat there gasping for air, staring at the place where those eyes had been. To this day, I know what sleep paralysis is. I know exactly how the brain can play tricks on you. But even now, all these years later, when I think about that night in room 1 at Barwick Hall, Jesus, I can't say things. I still remember those eyes, and for a split second, I wonder, what if they were looking back? Oh, that is creepy. And on a quick, sidetrack rant, like a mini bonus story for you. I have had sleep paralysis as well. It is terrifying. Now, I thankfully didn't have any sort of shape looking directly into my eyes, but I've heard stories like that. No, mine was at uni, and I was in my bed, and it was like we didn't live in like a halls or anything because the uni I went to was BIM University, and it was BIM Institute back then, and we didn't have halls for it. It wasn't like a proper university. It was a music university, institute, college type place. And I had to get like a flat, and I lived with like 4 other people, but the staff, they would come and check every, I don't know, 3 months, maybe longer than that, 6 months or so. They would check our rooms and our flats and things just to make sure that there was nothing out of place. And they would pre-warn us of those situations, but I always had in the back of my mind that I would somehow not read the email or forget, and they would just, because they can just walk in your room because they have like a key. They do knock first, but they'll walk in if they don't hear anything, and that idea panics me. So I was quite down and depressed at uni. I was away from home, which I didn't mind, but I had issues with flatmates and things like that. I don't call them really issues, but I was just always constantly thinking that they didn't like me, and so it was always a thought in the back of my mind that, oh, I'm a nuisance being there and things like that. So anyway, I would nap more during the day because I'm down and I'm depressed. And so I tried to have a nap in my bed. I was on my stomach, and Oh wait, was I? No, actually, I was on my back. Sorry, I was on my back, lying on my back. My eyes woke up, and I could see all around my room, but my arms wouldn't move, my legs wouldn't move. But I suddenly heard a knock at my door, and I was panicking. I was panicking so much because I think I was like sleeping in like something I wouldn't want people to see me sleeping in, okay? Like I don't like people seeing me in pajamas for some reason. I'm weird about it. I don't mind if they see me in my dressing gown because I'm fully covered, but if it's like a pajama set, it's like shorts and a vest top type thing. So I heard someone knocking on the door, but I couldn't move. I couldn't get up. I couldn't shout or nothing. It was just like I was stuck in place, and all I can do was look around the room. But thankfully, I had heard that if you start with a small movement, so for instance, just your fingers or your toes, you try and move your fingers. You gotta immediately calm down first, and then you've gotta try and move your toes or your fingers very gently, and eventually you'll be able to move your foot and your legs, and it'll wake you up very slowly. But you've got to really focus on your toe. But oh god, it was terrifying because I didn't want anyone to just walk in on me and then I couldn't move. And then I woke up from this nap and no one had even knocked on my door. No, it was all me and being in that sleep paralysis state. Anyway, that was a long side rant. I'm so sorry. The next story I'm going to talk about is a story that happened to my dad, and it's my mimic. So, my mum and dad have constantly told me this story. It's like the creepiest one they've talked about. We don't think, at least, I think maybe if my house is haunted, I don't think it's like a malicious spirit. Oh, just talking about it, like, it's making my heart thrum, like, so bad. I don't like speaking about personal experiences of ghosts in my house because I always worry that they'll hit me. That's the creepiest part, and they'll just create more havoc because, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's a malicious ghost. I think it's like it just likes to take piss. It just likes to prank you a little bit, like so you'll put something down and then you won't be able to find it. It's in a different room or something that you never put it. I mean, you could always put that down to logic and say that maybe you moved it yourself. But there was this one night, I think I was a teenager, and my dad was downstairs. My mum goes to bed really early. I think she goes to bed about 8ish, and it was summer. And so I was allowed out until 9 because I always had to go home before it was dark. So I was able to go home and I was out with friends or something like that. My dad was sat downstairs watching TV and he suddenly heard me in the kitchen dining area opening the door and closing it, and he shouts, "Natalie, is that you?" And someone shouted back, "Yes, it is. It's me. It's Natalie. Yeah." But then he realised, no, she's taking too long in there, and it was still dark. The lights hadn't been turned on. He goes in, and no one's there. I came in later, and he was like, "Did you just come in like a couple hours ago?" I was like, "No." It's creepy. It's creepy. I just think that's so creepy. Like, it's not the first time as well that we think this kind of like this type of mimic of me, because I also had other stories happen which I will share with you at a later date. Anyway, that was a short personal story. Well, it wasn't technically a personal story, it was my dad's story. If you want to tell me your own stories, please could you send me an email if you're on YouTube. I'll put my email address down the bottom here. like in my description. I will probably send you an email with some like small terms and conditions. It's not long, I promise you. Please don't be put off. It'll just basically telling you how your story will be used and asking and confirming that you are 18 plus or have full consent from a parent or a guardian. And also it's asking you to confirm that you are okay with me using the story. Important note, without your consent, I will not use your story. So you must reply saying that you are okay to let me read your story. Thank you for watching till the end. If you like these spooky stories and you want more spooky stories, please feel free to subscribe to me. It's completely free and you don't have to, miss a video.